Welcome, guys. Welcome back to Best of the Rest. This is a show that's going to be happening every week where I focus on sports that just doesn't really get that much press here in the U.S. UFC, golf, tennis, Formula One, and many others. Today, we do have a special guest, Keith. You can find him on Twitter at IS819DFS. One of the up-and-coming stars in this space. I'm super excited to have him on. We're going to talk about UFC with him. After that, we'll get into some golf, some tennis, and some Formula One. So we'll start with some UFC first. Keith, how are you, man?
I'm doing really well. Excited to be on with you. I've taken in a lot of the content you're putting out at Scores and Odds, and love following you on the stuff that is not as much mainstream. So love any UFC content I can get my hands on. Excited to get into some of your like golf and Formula One and that kind of thing too. So super excited for this show, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very honored to have you on. Keith is our first guest ever on the show. I tweeted about this last week. In golf, there's a new tournament or a new tour called LV Tour or Live Tour. And I think with the UFC, man, Keith, we could talk about this for a couple minutes, but I feel like UFC also needs something that is kind of competitive or kind of pushes that sport forward, because we know like the UFC, they're underpaying some of their fighters and not paying some of the trainers, things like that. So I made a tweet about how golf has Live Tour, and I'm looking forward to something where MMA has something to push UFC forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, it's definitely the only game in town. There's a couple of like the Bellator and PFL and things like that, but nothing really lives up to the product that UFC has. So yeah, some competition I think would be a good thing for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get back into the UFC and just recap this past previous weekend here. I did want to highlight a few fights, starting with a couple TKOs that we saw, right? Some very vicious, some awesome punching. So Durden, first round knockout, Olberg, first round knockout, and Parisian came back after losing that first round, came back in the second round for his TKO knockout of his opponent. But out of those three, which one was like most impressive, or which one excited you the most?
So the heavyweights, I mean, it's entertaining to watch, but man, that's some low level fighting right there.
Yeah.
Just some big guys throwing haymakers. Yeah, Parisian looked caught, like he was hurt bad in the first round. He fought through it though. Props to him. Came back and got the knockout. So that was a pretty low level fight, but entertaining nonetheless. I would say just most impressive was Olberg. Like he just came and got the job done really quickly. I know a lot of people that were on Njoku to win that fight, but Olberg came out and was super impressive.
Yeah, full transparency. I was on Njoku too. I thought he had it, but he looked outmatched in that fight. Another fight I wanted to talk about is Khabib's cousin, Umar. He's now, I believe, undefeated. He won unanimous decision. Any thoughts or reactions on this fight?
Just a super impressive prospect. He's definitely going to be a contender for a long time here. Obviously, amazing corner work. Just one of the best wrestlers in the sport. A little bit surprised he couldn't get the finish. He definitely tried. He had a couple of submission attempts, had his back for a good amount of time there. But yeah, a little bit surprised he wasn't able to get Maness out of there. But just extremely high level grappling, amazing wrestling, a really great prospect, and excited to see where his career goes because it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, another guy I wanted to highlight, and I think he's kind of flying under the radar here, Keith. Rachmanov, he finished his opponent, guillotine choke. He's now 16-0 in the UFC. How high do you think this guy can go to?
He was really impressive. I think he can contend for the title. I really do. Very impressive prospect. He was actually one of my biggest cashes on the slate. I did have a nice submission, a ticket on him by submission. So that one paid out pretty nicely. Even sprinkled the second round submission a little bit, which was plus 1,300 or something like that. But yeah, very impressive prospect. I think he's sticking around for a long time too.
All right, so let's not dwell on the past, Keith. Let's go ahead and get into some of our, exciting fights heading into this weekend and some of our best bets. I'll start right away. I only have one fight that I have action on currently. Obviously, once we get closer to the card, to the fight night on Saturday, I'll have more action. But I love Duplessis. He's fighting Tavares. I just think just you can focus from an analytical standpoint as well as just analyzing the fighters themselves. But from a line movement standpoint, we do have a money line flip, which is very telling in this sport. He's the younger, he's the hungrier fighter. He's in his athletic prime at 28. Tavares is still, he's not old, but he is 34. A lot of miles on him. He has, he's at a disadvantage when it comes to the height and the reach here. So I do like Duplessis to come out money line minus 120. And again, we'll recap all these bets at the end. That's going to be my favorite play so far on this card. What about you?
I like that one a lot. One of the advantages about the show being early in the week is in UFC, we see the lines move a ton by the end of the week. So you have a lot of close money lines right now that you're going to be, if you get them early in the week here, you'll find that you have a ton of value by the end of the week. I'm on a close money line fight too. The one I like is Jalen Turner money line. He's right around minus 125 right now, fighting Brad Riddell. Turner has looked really impressive here. 4 straight wins by finish. He's the younger fighter as well here. And it's his length that I think is really going to give Riddell some problems. Turner is like 6'3", where Riddell stands like 5'7", 5'8", something like that. Yeah. Turner has a 4-inch reach advantage. I think that Turner is going to be too long for him. Riddell's going to have a tough time getting inside. And Turner's going to be able to piece him up by range. So just a money line that I'm targeting here early in the week, but we've got an awesome card set up. There are a ton of really good fights on this card.
Yeah, it is the July 4th card, so they should have, a lot of great fights, a lot of big names. I want to focus on the last 4 fights of the night. We don't have any bets right now, but Keith, if you want to get into some of your analysis, that's fine. But Sean O'Malley is fighting. He's one of the most electrifying fighters in the UFC. How do you think he's going to do that night on Saturday?
Yeah, one of the top prospects that the UFC has to offer. The odds are already pretty heavy in his favor.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that he's a little bit fraudulent, though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some action come in on Munoz here. Like O'Malley he's tough to figure out. He had that one loss where he was injured in the fight, but he's looked super impressive at other times as well. So I don't think I'd have any action on him at this price. But if the line moves a little bit towards Munoz and you can get a little bit better price on O'Malley, I wouldn't have a problem jumping on then.
And the very next fight here, I predict this one, or maybe your fight. You mentioned, I forgot the fighter that you focused on, Riddell Turner. Yeah, but I think this next fight could be also a potential fight of the night. Strickland versus Pereira. I think these guys are going to be really, really close. I think it's probably going to go the distance. I'm excited for that fight. Okay, we have 2 title fights. First one is the Volkanovski Max Holloway fight. Volkanovski right now on DraftKings is a minus 180 favorite on a money line. Is that something that you would be taking if, gun to your head, or is the value gone there?
I think I'd wait on it. This is Holloway's last chance. He's held the belt for a while. Volkanovski took it, and he's beat Holloway twice. Mm-hmm. A little bit of kind of back and forth from Holloway and other people in the industry. Like they were really close fights, both of them. And I expect this one to be as well. So Volkanovski at minus 180 is a little bit wide. If I was on a side, it would be Volkanovski again to kind of put away the Holloway trilogy and retain the belt. But minus 180, it just seems a little bit wide. Holloway's going to be hungry. He's kind of it's do or die for him. If he wants a championship shot, he has to take it now. 3 losses against Volkanovski, it would take him a long time to get back into contention, I think. So expect a super high pace fight. Should be a really good one. But yeah, I'd lean slightly to Volkanovski.
Yeah, I agree with Keith here. I think Volkanovski is the superior fighter. I think what is going to really come down to his stamina. Like he said, it's going to be super high pace, high energy. And I don't think Max Holloway is going to have enough gas in the tank, especially towards the end of the fight. So I agree with that. And then the main event here, we have Izzy. So I'm a big card collector, Keith. Izzy is one of the guys that people chase in the UFC, obviously, just because he's a superstar. But he's a minus 400 favorite, depending on some of the books, maybe minus 360, 375. But is this something? Is he a parlay piece? Do you see him losing at all in this fight?
I really don't see any way that Cannonier can stick around with him. Adesanya, just such a skilled fighter, doesn't make many mistakes, so technical. So yeah, absolutely a parlay piece for me, which is something I like to do quite a bit. Is parlay some guys together. Just last week, I had quite a large parlay with Tsarukyan to finish it out. I didn't hedge it. I never do really, but that's one of my favorite ways to bet UFC is to parlay. Some guys I'm really confident in, 4 or 5 of them together. You get some pretty big plus odds when you do that. So Adesanya will absolutely be a piece of those parlays this week. One thing that I was close to pulling the trigger on is Adesanya by decision. You can get a much better price on that. Cannonier has been pretty durable in his career. I believe he's only been stopped twice in his whole career. I will probably end up taking that. I will also sprinkle some Adesanya by finish in the 4th and the 5th round. But I think Cannonier is able to stick around for a while here. But yeah, if you were looking to just have a ticket on Adesanya right now, I would be leaning by decision.
Yeah, for those who haven't looked it up yet, on DraftKings, by decision is plus 120. So you're getting plus money odds there. That's a great look there. All right, Keith, before we let you go, let us know where we can find you, anything you want to plug. This is, the floor is yours right now.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm doing all kinds of stuff for Scores and Odds. You can find my premium picks over there in the premium section. I'm also doing a free article 4 times a week. You can find that in the news section over at Scores and Odds. Right now I'm focused on baseball, primarily doing pitcher strikeout props. I did some NBA as well, and I will absolutely be involved once NFL gets going. Maybe we can work in some of these kind of off the board sports as well as we get going. But yeah, the article 4 times a week is the main thing you can catch me on over in the news section at Scores and Odds.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Keith. I just want to say sincerely from me, this is you are the first guest ever on this show. Obviously, this is only episode 2, but I'm always going to remember this. I'm always going to remember you jumping on and helping out. So thank you so much, man. Good luck on your bets today.
Awesome, man. Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
See you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Keith. That was awesome. A lot of UFC, great analysis. He mentioned that he's doing a lot of stuff for Scores and Odds, from football, baseball, basketball, all of that, and we'll try to add some other sports into it as well. But check him out on Twitter, on Scores and Odds. All right, let's go ahead and get into golf. All right, so golf was actually pretty interesting. I didn't really get to catch much of the Travelers Championship. I did see Rory's 8, quadruple bogey on Friday, which was amazing because I played golf that day and then I came home and I see him scoring 8. So I was like, okay, I don't feel as bad, but definitely followed that. Xander ended up winning. He birdied 18, which made Thigala's little, blunder on 18 a little easier to stomach. So for those who don't know, Thigala, up and coming, golfer, hasn't really won much yet, hasn't won a title on the PGA Tour. And he was just on fire, especially on that back 9 Sunday afternoon. He was on the tee box on 18 with a share of the lead, and he ended up double bogeying 18. He hit it into the bunker, then he hit the lip of the bunker, then he missed the putt that lipped out. Like, it was just a really bad 18. But he ended up losing by 2 strokes anyways because Xander birdied and just confirmed his championship title run last week. So props to Xander's. Very interesting tidbit here when you're like betting sports or betting player props. I know a lot of my buddies take a look at, whose birthday is it or who just had a kid, things like that, because, just from a narrative standpoint, you think that player or that team just has a little more oomph. Well, with Xander, he got married exactly a year ago last Sunday. So he literally won the Travelers on his 1-year anniversary. So props to him, props to his wife, props to his wedding. Thigala, double bogey on 18, not as bad as it seemed. Heading into this week, however, there's two tournaments going on at once, or two major tournaments. Obviously, one is with the Live Tour, and that event is up in Portland. We have the latest defector from the PGA, Matthew Wolff. He's going to be leaving the tour and joining Live full time. Somewhat big news, right? I mean, he is a pretty big name with Ryder Cup aspirations and things like that. So he's no longer on the PGA Tour. We'll see how that changes moving forward. I couldn't handicap the Live Tour, to be honest with you. I would need much more data, many more tournaments to see how the players are doing, whether they're motivated, whether they're just there to pick up a check. I have no idea. So I'm not going to handicap that, but I'm going to handicap the John Deere. So the PGA Tour is going to John Deere, which is in Illinois. The defending champ is Lucas Glover. The guy who had the biggest disappointing 18 on Sunday was Theegala. He is actually my pick to win this week. He is plus 2,500, I believe, on DraftKings. Let me double check here. Yes, Theegala plus 2,500. Some of the favorites: Adam Hadwin at plus 1,000, Webb Simpson at plus 1,200, Denny McCarthy plus 2,200, Charles Howell plus 2,200. Obviously, as you can tell, as I list out these names, the field is a lot weaker than previous weeks. Some of the outrights are long shots that I like. Tyler Duncan at plus 10,000, I think is great value. Patton Kizzire, who I like to bet in round head-to-head matchups, he's at plus 8,000, also great value. Doug Gim plus 6,000, Cameron Champ plus 5,500. These guys are legit golfers in a relatively weak field. I think they might be able to get it done. But my pick officially is going to be Theegala plus 2,500. All right, let's get it into tennis next. So tennis, it's Monday morning, June 27th. This is the start of Wimbledon. Wimbledon, for those who don't know, is played on grass. The grass surface is a lot faster than what we saw in the French Open with the clay surface. It skids a lot more. It doesn't bounce as much, and the grass just allows the ball to just go a lot faster, bounce a lot faster. So the players that you need to focus on when you're betting on Wimbledon matchups or futures or things like that are going to be the guys that can serve really well and have a really explosive forehand. You need to have that weapon on a forehand to the point short and to be able to score as well. So I'm looking at guys like Djokovic, obviously. On a women's side, you want to look at Jabber, maybe Kvitova, players like that. But for me personally, when it comes to Wimbledon, I think it's Novak Djokovic or bust on the men's side. He's far and away the best player on this surface. The second best player is not even at this tournament because he is Russian. He is unable to play due to the conflict there in East Europe. But Djokovic right now is an outright winner. This is Djokovic versus the field. He is minus 140 on DraftKings. I think it's still a good bet, which is insane to think about. But he's just far and away the best player, all-around player when it comes to the grass surface, serving, volleying, keeping the point shorts. He can win long points with his ground strokes, and he's the best returner the game has ever seen. So he negates people he can serve very well. So guys like Kyrgios or guys like Berrettini, those guys are really good and will always have a fighter's chance in these tournaments because of their serve. But when you have Djokovic, who just outthinks you, and his return game is just as a big a weapon as his serving game, he's just a big advantage on this surface. So on the men's side, I like Djokovic to win. On the women's side, some of the favorites when we're looking at the future: Swiatek is plus 150, Jabber plus 600, Kvyat plus 1100, Corey Goff, Coco Goff plus 1300, Simona Halep plus 1500, and then you go on down the line. Last year's U.S. Open champion Raducanu is plus 1800. For me personally, I love Belinda Bencic at plus 2000. She has the game to win on the surface. She has amazing forehand, consistent service. So I like Bencic to win in this. And I don't think you're going to get any good value when it comes to the rest of the women in this field because there's just so much parity when it comes to the women's game. I do want to do a quick shout out for Serena Williams. She's playing on the main draw. She went through the qualifying or as a wild card, I believe. She's plus 1,800 to win this. I don't think she's going to be able to win. It's just, I wouldn't say impossible. It's just really, really hard to play only 3 tournaments a year and expect to win those tournaments because you're going up against the best in the world. Even Serena, wise, argue is the greatest of all time. She's up there in age, and again, she's going up against people and players in the world that practice year round. And there's players on tour that practice just for the Wimbledon championship. So I don't know if she's going to be able to. I don't know if her talent is going to be able to cover up all those gaps from rust, stamina, fitness, things like that. So that does, close out the tennis portion of this show. The very next portion is going to be Formula One, and I'm going to keep this brief for you guys because a lot of the bets have not been released yet when it comes to just futures and how to bet the British Grand Prix. But it is the British Grand Prix. This is arguably second or third biggest event of the year. Some say Monaco is the first, but that's more of a spectacle. You rarely get any good, exciting races at Monaco just because of the narrowness of the track. But Silverstone is a completely different story. Right now, the odds on favorite to win Silverstone or the British Grand Prix, depending on what you want to call it, is Max Verstappen in that Red Bull car at minus 105. Charles Leclerc is plus 220. And Lewis Hamilton is plus 900. Hamilton is coming off a podium himself. I think his only second podium of the year. I like Lewis Hamilton to win, guys. I know you're paying a little bit of a tax when you're going to back someone like a superstar like Lewis Hamilton. But at plus 900, I think it's tasty enough for me to sprinkle a little money on it, throw a little lunch money on it. We know that he's won this race the most in all time. I believe he's won it 7 or 8 times. I think it's 8 times. But he is plus 900 heading into this weekend. His teammate is plus 1,200. Sergio Perez in the Red Bull is plus 1,100. Carlos Sainz plus 1,800. Everyone else, there's really no shot for them. But I do want to mention the 3 British drivers, right? Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, as well as Lando Norris in the McLaren. I like Lando Norris plus 100 to finish in the top 6. I think these are the races that he excels in. It is his home country race as well. So I like Lando Norris to finish in the top 6 plus 110. Lewis Hamilton to win plus 900. There's some other props and driver props, but again, it's still only Monday. We're going to get a lot more of this as the week goes on. Please give me a follow on Twitter, Analytics Capper. You'll see me post more and more of these bets. Silverstone is my second favorite race of the year. Singapore is my first, and I can't wait for that to happen later this season. But just to recap, so we went through UFC. My man Keith came on. His favorite bet is going to be, I'll go first. My favorite bet is going to be Duplessis against Tavares. I think Duplessis is going to be able to get it and finish him. He is right now a minus 120 favorite, depending on what book. DraftKings has him as a pick'em at minus 110. Keith, my guy, he's on Turner minus 130. I think he got it at minus 125 on the money line. He's fighting Brad Riddell. Both fighters that we're backing have very similar advantages. A little taller, a little strong, longer in the reach, and they're younger, so they're in their athletic primes. Very similar equations there that we're following. We also did a preview of some of the title fights heading into the weekend. We have Volkanovski against Holloway, as well as Adesanya against Cannonier on Saturday night. So definitely, hit the rewind button so you could take a look at some of those analysis. We went through golf. Congrats to Xander Schauffele for winning the Travelers Championship on his 1-year wedding anniversary. The Live event is going to take place this week in Portland, as well as the John Deere in the PGA Tour. I like Theegala to win at plus 2,500 as an outright. We also talked about tennis. Wimbledon is just starting up. I like Djokovic to win. as a future bet. It's him versus the field, and he is minus 140, which is absolutely nuts to think about. And then on the women's side, I like Belinda Bencic plus 2,000. Strong forehand, consistent serves. I think she can at least get her way to the quarterfinals. And once you get into the quarters and the semis, anything can happen, especially on the women's side. We previewed a little bit about Formula One. I also wanted to jump into soccer. We are in the middle of the transfer season. There's been a lot of names, a lot of players moving teams. The biggest rumor right now is regarding my team, Chelsea. Obviously, with a huge ownership change, a month or two ago, they haven't signed anybody. They're losing people left and right. But I think they're about to finalize a couple deals with some big name players in the next week or two. Some of the rumors, though, coming out of Stamford Bridge are kind of incredible. We've heard Neymar rumors. We've heard Cristiano Ronaldo rumors. I don't know what to believe, but at this point, I just want us to have 11 starting players, and we don't have that right now. So hopefully we are able to shore up our cornerbacks as well as our strikers or wingbacks. So definitely look out for that. Again, guys, thank you so much for jumping on today. This is the best of the rest. This is a show that I focus on some sports that just don't get enough attention here in the US, from UFC, golfs, Formula One, tennis, things like that. So definitely come back again. Thank you, Keith, for joining on. First ever guest. Thank you, guys. And everybody, good luck on your bets.